Alright, welcome back to We Play Games. I'm Walker, and here we are in our China Stands Up campaign on Victoria 3 Open Beta 1.2. We've defeated the Europeans a couple of times and expanded our influence in Southeast Asia, and we've secured a French alliance that has allowed us to start growing our treaty ports in the world. And that's going to be pretty helpful ultimately, because of course we are going to be wanting to pick up treaty ports in a lot of different areas, so that way we get our achievement. But we're doing sort of a personal achievement for myself. I want to get us into Anarchy if we can get it. Anarchy is pretty hard to get into just because of the very specific ideologies that are in favor of it, but I think if we play the game carefully we can get there. But we're definitely going to be aiming for a council republic here, as well as either cooperative ownership or command economy, because I haven't moved into cooperative ownership yet. This is a new thing from 1.2, so I think that would be interesting. But in the meantime, we have been sucked into an alliance war against Oyo with France on the side. France, listen, buddy. If you want to win this war, you can, but you need to naval invade them yourself. But one thing we are going to be on the lookout for in this episode is an opportunity to attack New Granada and liberate them, so that way we can make sure that we are the ones in control of the Panama Canal. Because we really do want to make sure that we get both the Panama and Suez Canal down. Those are really important for trade as Great Qing, and we are going to be doing just an outrageous amount of it. Alright, France, it doesn't look like you guys are actually fighting this war, so we're going to go ahead and I think we'll wait for our troops to train with their skirmish infantry for just a little bit longer. But if France gets down below 50, I think we'll surrender. Ooh, we got secret police. Alright, cool. Oh, yes, and we can use an obligation to turn Sweden into a protectorate. I think we could actually probably attack the Spanish. We could take a treaty port here in Asturias. I wouldn't hate that. Now, unfortunately for our diplomacy, Venezuela was actually part of our customs union, but now has joined the Spanish because they had a defensive pact. We'll just go ahead and turn them into a dominion. That's good enough. Now, unfortunately, this is going to tick off the Ottoman Empire. Hopefully not so much that they leave the customs union, but if they do, then, you know, that's the price you pay for going over 25 infamy. It does make your diplomacy a little more complicated. When Russia sided with Spain, okay, that's interesting. With Russia involved, I think we are going to have to activate a couple of conscripts here, though we could use this as an opportunity to liberate the Spanish Philippines. I wouldn't hate that. Alright, looks like we're going to get our little war with the Spanish and the Russians. This is going to be an interesting fight here. Of course, let's bring the industrialists back, because they have a nihilist in charge, and so that'll allow us to actually work on freedom of conscience. And I think that would be actually a really big deal if we could get that passed. Getting out of state religion is pretty good as Great Qing. Yeah, it looks like we're just gonna crush straight through Spain here. Yep, looks like the Spanish-speaking world is just getting completely rolled over here. And we'll sneak some troops over to Alaska while we got the time. Ooh, Brazil will join our customs union if we offer them an obligation. That's a-okay in my book. Alright, so we've won our war with Spain and Russia. So now we got our war reps flowing in. But I think it is time to fight Great Britain again. They've started a rebellion here in Lindy, and although we're not going to jump in on that side, I think we are going to jump in on the side of trying to remove New Granada from Great Britain's sphere. But I don't think we're going to add any other war goals against the British. There aren't a whole lot of other ones that I think would be easier for us to enforce here. So rather than fighting a hard war against the British, we're going to aim to fight an easy one. Ooh, we could potentially be drawn into a war against the US at the same time here, but I wouldn't hate that. I think we could get a lot out of having a Mexican protectorate. I'd love to see that. So it looks like Nihilists have taken control of the Literati here. I think that's fine. The Nihilists are an interesting group to be potentially working with, because they could also help us move into a council republic. Yep, looks like we have 100% of our war goals occupied, so we're going to be able to just bully the British from here, I think. And this is going to be huge for us, because we really do want to have control of the Panama Canal. Speaking of, how is the Suez going, actually? They're working on it, 39 weeks. Wow, the Suez is already up to 300,000 pops. That's pretty crazy. But that's just what happens when you're part of the Chinese Empire. Oh man, we're gonna thrash the British here. Good, because we are dipping into our credit, but the more that we build, the more that credit just doesn't scare me anymore. Oh my god, are the French gonna invade? Holy cow, are they gonna make it? That would be outrageous. Oh, awesome, we got freedom of conscience. That is going to be a big deal, because that means that now we're no longer locked to having clergy people in our urban centers or government administrations or universities. And so now the intelligentsia are just going to go a lot stronger. We need to bring Mexico into our customs union before it's too late. All right, just like that, I think we got them. Colombia is free, and we can start bankrolling them. So now that Colombia is free, we have a couple of ways we could interact with them. I think the most obvious and straightforward way for us to make sure that we have control of the Panama Canal, of course, is to just turn them into a protectorate of ours. All right, so we're 5 to 8 months away from percussion cap, at which point we will be able to start making our own ammunition, and that's sort of like the bridge between early game warfare and mid game warfare. It's been slow going to get here, of course, because we have been focusing so much on our society techs, but I think it's been worth it, especially because we're going to be able to start pushing into the level 3s before the end of this episode, I hope. I want to get anarchism at a bare minimum. All right, we offered an obligation, and we're sucking Mexico into our customs union. They've been beaten up a little bit by the US, but hey, this is still a pretty big and strong Mexico that we can pull in. And there are some cores here that we might be able to get the US to release back. Ooh, we can make Ecuador into a protectorate. Good deal to me. The shogunate is still in isolationism. I don't think that makes any sense. I think we can fix that. So let's go ahead and start an open market diplo play against Japan. But we'll also take a treaty port. You know what? Let's just make it Kansai, actually. But now we have to decide if we want to add the Kansai treaty port as a primary. But I think we do. I think we have enough infamy that it made sense there. And that's just some diplomatic flexibility that we have access to because we haven't been conquering at 1,000 infamy all game. We can fight Bengal later. I thought that was the Austrians. I guess they have a different flag. All right, looks like the Japanese are actually going to fight us. I want to commend Japan for their bravery in resisting us here, but this is going to cost them because we're going to take a treaty port, and that'll be a beginning of a beautiful relationship between us. It may even end with us turning the shogunate into a protectorate. We'll see. Ooh, there's another uprising here in India. All right, we crushed the Japanese shogunate. Now we have a treaty port outside of Kyoto. But in exchange for that, now we can trade with the Japanese pretty easily. And you know what? Let's go ahead and turn the Netherlands into a protectorate. And you know, we're already down here. We might as well pick up civilizing mission as well. But I guess if we do organized sports first, that'll speed us along in both of those level 3 techs. So yeah, let's bang out organized sports, then we'll take anarchism and civilizing mission. And at that point, we will be able to build the Panama Canal. And that's also going to just save us an outrageous number of convoys. Because you see, now we can actually draw trade all the way through the Mediterranean. And that just saves you a ton of headache when it comes to trade. Just keep growing your growth. Anytime we can, we'll just expand the size of our construction and keep on moving. Yeah, now anarchism is down to 7 months left. Wow, we have like absolutely no loyalists left in the state. Remember when we ended corn laws and everybody who lived in China loved Great Qing? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Papua has launched an uprising against us. That's good, because this is becoming like a real border war central over here, and I'd like for us to have a permanent control over it. And if we can get colonization rights, then that will give us permanent control here. Alright, so we have the anarchism technology now, so we should be able to start finding anarchist characters for our trade unions and our rural folk, which is all we really need to get things really rolling here. In order to get our fun little Council Republic through, though, we are going to need socialism, but we are getting closer. We've gotten sucked into a war between France and Russia over Tidor. Alright, well, I guess we gotta fight against the Russians, huh? Ooh, and Bengal. Alright, so now we're fighting against enough of our neighbors that I think we're gonna need to go ahead and mobilize all generals. And we'll go ahead and activate 7 conscription centers. That's 350 extra troops. That should be enough to put us over the top here. Oh, and Russia backed down in the Diplo play. Okay. Well, that works too. Oh my god, we have an industrialist in charge, or we have a nihilist in charge of the industrialists. Holy cow. Okay, so when we hit socialism, then we actually might be able to have an industrialist and an intelligentsia that are both in favor of Council Republic instead of monarchy. That would be hilarious. Oh my god. If we can get the industrialists happy by passing Council Republic, that would be chef's kiss. Alright, let's make Mexico into a protectorate. Offer them an obligation, but bam, done. The more people we can bring into our customs union before we flip over to a council republic, the better. Because once we do, diplomacy is going to get a little more complicated. All right, it's time to survey the Panama Canal. If we could get both of them in one episode, that'd be pretty cool. We'll just see how Colombia feels whenever we try to buy that land. All right, we turned Peru, Bolivia into a protectorate. So we will have basically all of South America once we can get Brazil on lockdown. And that means that we really won't need anything else from the rest of the world if everybody gets really, really mad when we flipped into a council republic. That seems like a skill issue for them. Alright, the trade unions are no longer marginalized, so now they're going to be a lot more active in our politics, and they're still really mad. Right now they're working on a revolution to enact restricted child labor. Oh baby, we could transfer all of Australia for 10 infamy. You know what? Let's do it. That was how we started our movement here towards industrialization, was fighting a war with the British in Australia, because they had like a revolution when we were trying to interact with them in regards to the Opium Wars. But I think this will be fun. I think that's going to be it. I think we're just going to take British war reps in Australia. Oh man, Great Britain backed down. All right, well, Qing now has control of Australia, and this awful border war in Papua. We're going to have to fight the French eventually, but that'll be something that the French they'll let us know when they're ready. Oh man, I'm going to be genuinely fascinated to see what the population and the culture of of Australia looks like when we're done with our campaign here, because I think we're going to be flooding this area with lots of Han Chinese, but we'll find out. All right, we have the land necessary for the Panama Canal, so now we gotta build it and staff it up. But once we have that, then our trade will just become really oppressive in the world, because there won't be any natural barriers anymore. And we haven't even hit our trade cap, because this is 1.2.2, and so teching is much, much slower. And so this is actually like the middle of tier 2 in the military techs for us. We're only barely pushing into tier 3 for society techs. Tier 3 for production techs. So we are going to have to build dramatically over our literacy cap just so that we get maximum tech spread. So we are building a pretty large and chunky extra university here. So it looks like we are going to get another war with Great Britain here on the behalf of Benin, who we sucked into a trade agreement for an obligation that probably wasn't worth it. But now we're going to be able to fight yet another war against Great Britain. But I think we're going to save that for our next episode, because we've made some good progress here, but I don't think we're done. But of course, because we were supposed to have a nihilist in control of the literati, or at least that's what the little event that we chose said. Well, it doesn't matter. I think we can still push towards a council republic with the help of the industrialists here, but we'll see what we get out of our rural folk and our trade unions. Ooh, and of course we could move into level 4 colonial affairs just to really press it in our colonization out here. But I think it's actually probably more useful for us to level up our law enforcement, because we are actually suffering some turmoil problems. So we'll want to get our law enforcement maxed out probably in the next episode. But hey, we're up to 2,000 construction and we're at 500 million GDP, so we are growing. But boy, the 1.2 rework, it really did change the meta a lot in regards to what your expectations should be in terms of growth. I still think that 1 billion before 1880 with any of the starting great powers is certainly achievable, especially because technology is just so slow now. But I think that generally speaking, technology being pretty slow is a feature rather than a bug, because boy, it really does reward you for moving into a more lax child labor situation. On that note, we might actually move in that direction, both to appease these guys as well as to increase the cap here for our education, because we do want to get some stuff done, because we just need to get technologies on the book. But yeah, I think that's episode 4 of China Stands Up here on We Play Games. I'm Walker. Take care.